so that to be useful for our cleansing, to cleanse ourselves, for the purpose of cleansing ourselves. May this water become activated and vibrated to be effective for cleansing ourselves. And then we can go ahead and put our feet into the water. Mm. And as we're foot soaking, we meditate. We bring our attention inside. And first thing is to check and make sure that we're relaxed as we can be physically. We just check in with all our joints and our different muscles, that everything is in a state of relaxation. And next thing is to relax mentally. So any worries, any questions, any problems, anything that may impact our attention, even something we may be looking forward to, all of that we can just put to rest for the moment. And when we meditate, we can meditate eyes closed or eyes open, either one. If you have a candle set up before you, it's been suggested at some point, you can gaze at the candle flame in a relaxed fashion. And this is the point at which we may start to become aware, very gently, of some particular sensation on our hands, which could be indicating some imbalance or some obstruction that we can address. So to balance left and right side, it's nice to start with that. We usually balance left side first, unless the heat is overwhelming, or not overwhelming, but is is very, very significant. We may want to address right side first, but in general, we'd address the left side first because desire precedes action. The left side is the side of desire.
Can't hear it. It's too long.
Okay, let me see what I can do. Okay, I put a microphone. I hope this is better. Is this better?
Yes, it is better.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, so for clearing left side, we're going to put our right hand towards the earth and keep our left hand open on our lap or at the heart level. So you can think of this as that we're creating a grounding, a ground. Like if you think of an electrical circuit, that the electricity goes to ground, wants to go to the earth actually. Or we're creating a ground with our right hand towards the earth. And our left hand is receiving these vibrations, this energy, and is going to push out any obstructions in general on our left hand side. And we can just ask while we meditate inwardly, may all impurities, obstructions, or distractions of the left hand side, any baggage of the left hand side, be cleansed out to this earth element. And that should help us to feel, if we're feeling some heaviness on the left hand side, that should help to relieve that. And so this Kundalini mothering energy can circulate. And now let's put our right hand back onto our lap. And now our left hand towards the sky, with our fingers pointing towards the sky and the palm facing backwards. And we can think of this as that we're creating an exit route, a chimney, if you like, for any heat from the left side. From the right side. So again, the vibrations, we're bringing the vibrations into our right hand side. and pushing it out through this chimney, which the air element is going to draw away that heat or that any excess of anxiety or worries, stress. Any of the symptoms of overactivity on the right side. And we can ask inwardly, may all the overactivity or any excess of worry, thinking, planning, effort, stress, may all of that be released into this air element. And then we can relax our left hand back down. And now put our attention back onto the central channel, which is the channel of integration and our evolution, our growth. And we can just trace this path of the Kundalini all the way up. Now that we've cleared that pathway a little bit, we re-invite the Kundalini to please rise into the crown chakra. And bring about this thoughtless awareness, this state of meditation, state of silence, silence of mind. And our own attention can be relaxed, but we can also bring it to this limbic area of our brain, or just above the fontanelle bone area of the crown of the head. Yeah, the only thing we could do at this point to help our subtle system is let's take our right hand and put it at our waist on the left hand side. And this center has to do with our sense of satisfaction and contentment. At first, on the material level, but ultimately on a deeper level of our own seeking, our emotional and spiritual satisfaction. And to affirm these qualities, we can inwardly say, Mother, by your gift, by your grace, I am completely satisfied. So we take advantage of this gift of the vibrations of the Kundalini Mother. It gives us a deep sense of satisfaction, of contentment. And also of gratitude for what we're given, for what we have. Now let's relax our right hand back down and just take 1 or 2 more minutes to be in silence. And then to finish our foot soak, I always like to sweep my left and right hand sides down from about the temple level, down the right and left hand side with the 2 hands down into the water, like maybe 6 or 7 times. So it's just one last push on anything that's maybe loosened, if you like, through our meditation. And push that out right down our legs into the water. And we can also sweep down our arms if we want to. And shake anything out from our hands. And we can finish our foot soak by rinsing our feet into the bowl with some fresh water, like this. So let's take about 5 minutes at the most to take a short break so everyone can rinse their feet and dispose of their water into the toilet. And then we'll reconvene. Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully, everyone has come back. And we're going to listen to an audio lecture of Sri Mataji's from quite early. I think it might be from 1979, but she's going to talk about the Mooladhara Center, the first center, as I mentioned earlier, and give us some real, I think is really useful background and insight into this center. And after the lecture, we'll meditate again and we'll go a little deeper, as I mentioned before, into some of the other qualities that correspond with the four petals of the Mooladhara chakra. So when we talk about the petals, we're really envisioning the chakras like flowers. And each one has a specific number of petals, which correspond to the subplexuses on the physical level in our nervous system. And amazingly, this is why each chakra has, such a, could say, sort of multifaceted aspect to it. And these different aspects and qualities are themselves interwoven. So it's quite nice to just focus on one of them, especially the Mooladhara, as I mentioned before, which is so important, and to meditate on those qualities. So after the listening to the lecture, we'll have another meditation on Mooladhara chakra.
In the same way, our realization is also going to work out with that living force which has brought forth this human being. Now that living force has also within us, through our evolution, has created all this. These are all different centers, which are subtle centers, which are the, we can say, the undercurrents of our being. These centers you cannot see with your naked eyes because they are placed either in the spinal cord or in the brain. But they do give rise to growth centers outside. Now these centers are beautifully placed. The first one with the four petals is called as Mooladhara chakra. Now this center is placed below the Kundalini. Now mark, this is a very important point. It is placed below the Kundalini. This represents the material side, or we can say the matter that is within us, is the earth element within us, is the jada as they call it, is the, dead is a bad word, but I would say the thing that has not yet been awakened. The mother element of earth is there higher, but this is the child element, that is the innocence is placed. The embodiment of innocence is placed under the Kundalini. That is called as Mooladhara chakra, and which controls also our sex. It gives rise to pelvic plexus, which also has got 4 subplexuses. Now it is interesting to note that it is placed under the Kundalini. So if the Kundalini has to rise, she doesn't go through this. So sex has nothing to do with Kundalini rising. Only thing is that when the message from your hands, when you are placing your hands towards me, the message, please sit with your hands like this. The message that there is somebody who can raise the Kundalini, or the message to the Kundalini, or invitation to the Kundalini, goes through your fingers down here, passes through these 2 lines that you see, and inform that deity which is sitting down there, who is Sri Ganesha, who when awakens and informs the Kundalini, which is the mother of Ganesha, Gauri, sitting in the triangular bone, which is, they call as a 3.5 coiled serpent, because it has got itself in the shape of a serpent. It is 3.5 coiled. It has also got a very great mathematical significance, 3.5. Now this power is the germinating power. Now it is called as the residual power. Means after creating the whole pinda, the whole zygote of a human being, still it remains the full. This is the power that we call is the Mahakali power, because it is the power of desire of God. He desires that you should get your realization. The desire of God is expressed within us through this left side power, which you see left side channel, is called as the Mahakali power. As long as he desires, we exist. As soon as he doesn't want, we do not exist. So, the left side gives rise to our desires and also looks after our emotional side. Means it is not yet materialized. The second power you see on the right hand side, yellow one, is the power to create. This is called as Mahasaraswati power. In the Sanskrit language, these are expressed much clearly. We can call it the creative power. The creative power of God descends within us through this and is effective in giving us creative powers of thinking power, of mental effort and physical effort. So we put in our mental and physical efforts through this power, which is called as Mahasaraswati power. In the center is the power which is called as the evolutionary power, which, as you can see, has gaps. And this is the power of Mahalakshmi power, which is not yet fully connected. This is the gap. So we have three powers. In the same way, in the growth we have three autonomous nervous systems. The one on the left is called as the left sympathetic, one on the right as the right sympathetic, and the center is called as the parasympathetic. Now left sympathetic acts for our emotions, the right acts for our physical and mental efforts, and the central acts for our coordination, for our balancing, and for supply of this power, vital power. But as these two side powers, left and right, start working, as a byproduct of these two powers, we develop very big two balloons in our head, which can be called as ego and superego. One is yellow colored, another is blue colored, and they cross over. Because of this, the head gets covered and we get separated. The fontanelle bone here gets calcified, and you become Mr. X, another becomes Mr. Y, another becomes Mr. Z. Now you are separated from that all-pervading power, because now you have to know it in your consciousness. Then you start seeking. It is something like this. We can understand that evolution could not go any further. Like a little chick bird which does not know how to fly. So the mother hides herself somewhere and starts calling. Ultimately, the chick bird gets the confidence and flies towards the mother. Because you have to know what this power is, you have to know how to maneuver this, and you have to know how to enjoy this power of God which He wants to bestow upon you. By this power, the whole universe is ruled. It is the power of divine love. It exists. It is everywhere, and after realization you are surprised that you become, again I say you become, you are actualized It is not lecturing that you have to be this or who have to be that. It actually happens within you that you become collectively conscious. Means you can start feeling others on your fingers as shown there. And you get self-realization by which you see within yourself what you are. You start seeing your chakras within yourself, one by one. And you can correct it, and you can correct the chakras of other souls. Now I agree, it's a very difficult task, as they say. But to some, maybe experts are there, some masters could be there. For example, once upon a time, even, say, to come to London from India was, of course, an impossibility. Even to go from Bombay to Banaras, people would sell out their houses, everything, and everybody would cry as if they are going to die on the way. It was that impossible. It was so very slow. But as the time has moved, you have got now aeroplanes and you are going to the moon. In the same way, the Kundalini Shastra has improved so much that today we have among ourselves thousands of Saj Yogis in India who just get the realization in thousands. In the cities, of course, there is problem because people are very complicated. In the West, they get the realization very fast, no doubt, because they are real seekers, no doubt. But they lose it equally fast. The reason is, once they get the realization, as usual, they must have read some books of analysis of some psychologist, Mr. Byrne, I heard recently a name. They go home and start analyzing. Once you start analyzing, it's finished. You cannot analyze it. I'm talking of synthesis. And if you start analyzing it, the living thing is finished. Supposing you have to analyze this finger. Just think like that. You cut it from here, first of all. Then you open it out one by one and see for yourself what is inside this. Here I'm talking of synthesis. Moreover, one should know, by thinking you have not got it, by analyzing you have not got it, you have just got it spontaneously. So why should you analyze it? You should employ the methods which are synthesizing you, are putting your whole being in one line, or you can say in one thread. That all your diversified temperaments and beings are just fixed together. That you become one with the whole, that you become completely relaxed. As I give one example, which many people like it very much, that some people were told not to take too much luggage on their heads, and they went to in an aeroplane they went, and they said that you shouldn't take too much luggage on the aeroplane. They put back their luggage on their heads, thinking that aeroplane may be feeling more weight for that. So they were trying to reduce the weight of the aeroplane. In the same way, we are trying to reduce the weight of the aeroplane. The one who has created us, the one who has made us human being, is going to make us that great. But Mr. Ego says, no, how can I must do it myself? You cannot.
So let's go back into our state of meditation. Allow ourselves to be silent. And as part of our meditation, let's put our attention on our Mooladhara chakra. The Mooladhara is the support of the root. And there are 4 petals, one which faces downward, one to the left, one to the right, and one points upward. So we'll start by noticing the petal that faces or that points downward. And the specific quality of this petal is that of joy. So joy is the essence. You could say the joy of the creation. It's the joy of this natural world with all its beauty. If you go on a beautiful day outside into the woods or to the ocean or any place where you can really contemplate that the essence of this creation is that joy that we feel. And I think sometimes as Sri Mataji says, we start to analyze maybe too much that our cleansing process or some of those other details, and we forget that the purpose of all of it is the joy. Now the petal that faces or that points towards the left side, and we can a little bit focus our attention on the left side of the center. Is the quality of the power to remove obstacles. And what obstacles we're talking about mostly are any obstacles to our ascent, to our spiritual growth. So we can also inwardly ask, oh, divine power, please may all the obstacles to our ascent to our spiritual path, may all those obstacles be removed for us, be cleared. And now we can bring our attention to the right side of this center. And the petal that points to the right grants the quality of wisdom. So this wisdom, again, is an innate quality of the creation. We see how this earth element, that is the element of this chakra, this earth element has so much wisdom and imparts so much wisdom throughout the creation without having to think about it. In the same way, O divine power, may we have wisdom at the root of our behavior, of our actions, and of our understanding. Please grant us this wisdom. And finally, the fourth petal, which faces or points upward. We can bring our attention to that petal, which gives us the quality of fearlessness. And this fearlessness can be related or likened to the fearlessness of a child that knows that its mother is present, is caring for it, is guiding it. So for us, it is the fearlessness that comes from having faith in our own Kundalini, awakened Kundalini, and having faith in our own ascent. So we have no doubts about our own ascent. But a complete faith and fearlessness in our self-realization. So now let's see that if by acknowledging and addressing these facets of the Mooladhara chakra, let's see how this helps our Kundalini to flow strongly. And we can bring our attention again back up to the crown of the head, to the top of the head. And we can even bring our hands up above our head. And feel the flow of this energy, this Kundalini. First with the right hand and then also with the left hand we can check. And then let's just enjoy the meditation, the silent meditation, the thoughtlessness. Now let's close our meditation by raising our Kundalini. And putting a bandhan around ourselves. And thank you everybody so much for joining us today. And let us know if you have any questions. You can unmute and ask questions now, or you can share your questions with the WhatsApp group.
I don't know how or where to put my phone number.